Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, coming to you live from our little factory. I'm hoping that I am live. We are having some connectivity issues. Yes, I think I am live, which is great. First time actually coming to you guys live from the factory. So hoping you're well, hoping you're safe wherever you are in the world. Please let me know, just give me a bit of a thumbs up if you can hear me, just in case we are having some technical difficulties. And once again, I am the technical difficulty. So if you could just give me a thumbs up. Oh, you're like, yes, thank you. To let me know that you can hear me loud and clear would be wonderful. So welcome to our little factory. As you can see, I am literally surrounded by stuff. All very safe though, all very safe, but there's boxes and you can also see there's a big yellow pile behind me. I'll get into that. Thank you, Ruhi. I'll get into that in a little bit later, but it has been a crazy couple of weeks. And I know I constantly say that, but it literally has been a crazy couple of weeks. There is so much happening, all sorts of good, wonderful things happening. And it's good for all of us, which is really exciting. The first thing is that yesterday I took delivery of 2 pallets of what you can see behind me, which is our book, Eat Your Way Slim and Healthy, which is, of course, due to be officially released to the world August the 4th. So the reason I've got these books behind me is they were delivered by Booktopia, 2 pallet loads of books. That's a lot of books, by the way. If you've ever seen 1 pallet load of books, double that and then you get 2 pallet loads. Literally thousands of books have been delivered. And the reason why Booktopia have delivered me these books is because I have agreed to sign them. So if you have pre-ordered your copy of Eat Your Way Slim and Healthy, which is our revised edition to the original yellow book, Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, with a additional chapter, and it's all been, as you can see, it's been redesigned and it's looking fabulous. It's colorful and gorgeous and absolutely wonderful. Even got me on the back there with my before and afters. This book is, yes, I've agreed with Booktopia. If you've pre-ordered yours, you're going to get your edition of Eat Your Way Slim and Healthy with my signature in it. So that's going to be my job over the next couple of days, is to sign all these amazing books, so you guys get your hand signed or your personally signed copy of Eat Your Way Slim and Healthy. So that is exciting, and that is going to leave the Booktopia warehouse, I think on August the 4th. If you have pre-ordered, you're going to get a signature and you're going to get your book sent to you on August the 4th. It is also available via Mighty Ape in New Zealand. I'm not signing for Mighty Ape though, unfortunately. So if you've ordered your copy from Mighty Ape, you might want to give them a call and say, why don't I get a signature on my book? And also it's still available via amazon.co.uk as well. So lots of exciting things happening. As I was saying, the boxes that you see behind me here, these boxes are, we're just waiting for the courier to pick them up. They are leaving the warehouse today. They're going to our distribution center, and our distribution center is responsible for sending you guys out, which is going to be our brand new, as you can see, this is our brand new product that is going to be released later this afternoon. Mahei was saying to me, as soon as it gets to the warehouse, we know that the product is there. We're going to release this. This is our zero as sugar, pure erythritol, 100% natural sweetener, 0 calories, 0 GI response, so it won't spike your blood glucose or raise your insulin levels, and it has 0 laxative effect. It is the best erythritol on the market. That is going to be available. They're all in there. Like I said, we're waiting for the courier to come pick them up, and then you guys get to have erythritol. So we're putting together all these elements to make it as easy as possible for you guys to get your healthy products. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure, we know how hard it is to get good quality inulin. We know how hard it is to get fiber syrup, and we also know how hard it is to get the right type of erythritol. And this is the right type of erythritol. 0 as sugar, because you go from 0 to hero. I like it. Ting ting. I need some drums to go boom. That was my line right there. So Ruhi, if you want to link, all you need to do is go to Google and put in Booktopia. Bridget, Eat Your Way Slim and Healthy, Booktopia. It'll come up and you can pre-order your cookbook there. It's very exciting. So thank you to everyone who responded. I put out a couple of calls yesterday online, asking if anyone had any questions, because I thought we would go back to how Q&A first started. Is that usually during the week I would get quite a few different questions coming through, either privately or through our group, or sometimes on, just on Facebook. When I shared a recipe, people wanted to, the people had questions. Of course, we've all got questions, and the better the question will definitely be the more appropriate the answer. So I asked if you guys had any questions for me that I could answer during this Q&A, and I was literally inundated with questions. So thank you to everyone who responded. I'm going to attempt to get through as many questions as possible, but there was a lot more than I expected, and I'm always humbled and very grateful to see you guys respond so positively. And, like I said, asking the right question will get you a better answer. So asking is fabulous. And thank you, Annabelle. You like my pink? I am in pink today. One of the downsides about being in a factory is there's no insulation. That's why she's got the beanie and the big thick jacket on. There's no insulation. Oh, thank you. Maha'i posted that Booktopia link. Thank you, Maha'i. There you go, Ruhi. It's just posted in the comments. Yes, it's no insulation, and the lighting is really, really bad. And I've spent so many hours in this factory over the last couple of weeks trying to get all our stuff organized. So I've been beanied and jumper, and I've got 2 layers of pants on to keep my legs warm. So thank you for noticing my gorgeous pink. Just had a question come through. Do you deliver your inulin, fiber syrup, etc. to the UK? That was from Deanna. Deanna, not at this stage. The reason why we're not delivering at this stage is because, we can, but the postage is out of control because of COVID. So at this point in time, we are delivering to Australia, obviously, and New Zealand. And the main reason for that is because the postage is crazy, because there's hardly any flights going. So they've really jacked up the cost of international postage. It's still not too bad to get to New Zealand from Australia. Obviously, domestically in Australia is still really good. But we are working on a solution when it comes to the UK, because once we have launched the book into the UK, it's the first time we've ever properly launched into the UK, we want to make sure that we have all these wonderful ingredients available to our UK audience as well. So we are working on a solution, but we're not quite there yet. But rest assured, we are working on it. Because one of the beauties about Eat Your Way Slim and Healthy is that for the first time, yes, you can buy it on Booktopia. You've never been able to buy my books on Booktopia. Yes, you can buy it on amazon.co.uk. You can buy it on Mighty Ape. But you're also going to be able to walk into a Whitcoulls in New Zealand or into a Dimmicks in Australia and buy the book, which is really exciting. So we've gone mainstream when it comes to supplying our content now, which is incredible. And the only way we've been able to do that is because we have partnered with arguably one of the best book publishers in this space, which is health and lifestyle and food, which is Murdoch Books. And they have been incredible in getting us to where we are now with the books. And I love the new edition of the book. It for me is it's stunning in every way. I love the name, because that's basically what it is. We're going to eat our way to health. We're going to eat our way skinny or eat our way slim, because that's basically what we're doing. And as we're doing it, we're going to do it through delicious food. We're going to do it through food that makes us feel satisfied. And, as I've always said about the Yellow Book, this is the roadmap to success. Even if you do nothing else, like you don't do the meal plan, don't do my 28-day meal plan. If you just eat from this book, you will improve your health, and you will also improve your physical look as well, because it's just a given. Because this book gets rid of all the gluten, it gets rid of all the sugar, it gets rid of all, a lot of the dairy as well. And what we do, replace all those processed foods we normally eat, we replace it with food that we cook, that we learn how to take back control, because this is about taking back control of your diet. It's about taking back control of your life, because your diet is the seat of whether you are well or whether you are ill. It all comes down to your diet. So I'm excited about this book, getting it into as many hands as possible. But let me sign them first, because that is gonna, I've been doing my arm exercises, my wrist exercises, because that's quite a lot of signatures that need to happen. But it's a good problem to have. It's a really good problem to have. So I'm going to get into our questions that we had come through. And like I said, I apologize in advance if I don't get through to your questions. Sorry, just saw Susanna ask, are the recipes in the new book the same as the previous yellow book? Yes, they are, but we've got an additional chapter in there. So this is the revised edition of the original book. And it's been revised and rethought, and it's got an index, and it's got a bit more depth and character to it. So it is very exciting. But look, if you're thinking, from a budget perspective, whether you need to get this book, if you've already currently got the yellow book, I wouldn't, you don't have to be, I have to go out and run out and grab this one as well. But, I know for a lot of people, they just want to have the collection. So they are getting the book. And it is literally, it becomes this incredible roadmap because it has got that additional chapter in there as well. So, yeah, there you go. So over to the questions. Like I said, apologies in advance if I don't get through all the questions today. I'm going to do my absolute best. So the first question that I had come through was from Jordan. Now, Jordan, it was a three-part question, which I always love three-part questions. But Jordan let us know, basically, she said she's highly intolerant, and she named quite a few different flours that she's intolerant of. Like she can't have almond flour, coconut flour, chickpea flour, sunflower seed flour. And is there a substitute that she could use for all the flours that she's intolerant to? She also then went on to say that she's intolerant to soy, bean flour, milk, and apples. So there's a lot going on there that Jordan is intolerant to. So my suggestion is to Jordan, to anyone else who's listening, that you do have a lot of intolerances within your current diet of what you can and you can't eat. My first question would be, do you know why? Because it's one thing to live with intolerances, but it's another thing to know why your body is intolerant to certain foods, because there's always a reason why. If you go back a few steps, you're able to understand your body a bit more. So my first question would be, do you know why? For a lot of people who have those many intolerances, they do tend to know why. They've been to the doctor, they've done some tests, they understand that they've got different type of intolerances. Maybe they've got an autoimmune disease, celiac, different types of things that they're not allowed. So if you know your why, you can then begin to either work to not become intolerant, because there are possibilities for some people where they can actually work to not become intolerant. But also, when you know what to avoid, you then know what to have. So my answer to Jordan's question, with so many different intolerances, is, Jordan, you know your body better than me. Rather than giving me a list of what you can't have, because I remember doing this one catering job when I was Google's VIP chef, and it was only for, I think it was for a group of CEOs, some of the top CEOs in Australia. And one of the CEOs, I always give them the menu in advance, and then they let me know if anyone's like dairy intolerant or they can't have gluten. Well, I got sent this one piece of paper from this one CEO that was attending this event, and she literally, the list of things that she couldn't have was about 60 things long. And I looked at the sheet and I just went, oh, how am I didn't even know where to start, because there were so many things. And it reminded me just how different we all are, and one size does not fit all. So I went back to her and said, thank you very much for sharing with me what you can't eat. Can you just tell me what you can eat? Because then I don't have to go through and say, oh, can you have this? Can you have that? So, Jordan, you know your body better than anyone in this planet. And for anyone else who is intolerant to lots and lots of different things, you know your body well. And if you see a recipe of mine that has, for example, almond flour, and you can't have almond flour, if you don't already know what you can have, you need to maybe think about doing an elimination diet. So you can, and please Google elimination diet. But if you do know that you can have another type of flour, I think for Jordan it was sorghum flour, then the suggestion is, if you see a recipe of mine that you want to try, and there is a flour in there that you can't use, and there's lots of other ones you can't have, try it with the flour you know your body can tolerate. I'm not going to say for 1 second that recipe can work, because one of the things about flours, and I'm talking about gluten-free flours here, there's hundreds of them that we can potentially have in our diet. I've not tried my recipes with all 100. I actually don't know. I give what is going to be usually the most common type of ingredient, and some recipes will work, some recipes won't. That is where you need to start to experiment a little. So I know it's probably not what you want to hear, but this is the truth. If you know why you're intolerant, if you know why you have these allergies or these reactions, these autoimmune or inflammation reactions to certain foods, then you possibly already know what you can have. So it's a matter of you experimenting. When it comes to not being able to tolerate soy, and I do have a lot of tamari in my recipes, you can swap that out for coconut aminos. I don't know whether you can have coconut aminos, but it's one of the things that you can swap it out for. Coconut aminos comes from the coconut, obviously. It's a coconut nectar, and it is available in health food sauce. So that's something that you could try in replace of tamari, especially if you want to make sticky sauce. You can use coconut aminos. But once again, I don't know whether that's because I see you're intolerant towards coconut flour, so you may be intolerant towards all coconut products. So it's a real tough one, Jordan, because you do have a lot of things going on there. And when it comes to apples and being allergic to apples and apple cider vinegar, that's easy. White vinegar, that's actually an easy swap out. You know your body better than me. So you need to start with the experiments. And before you start with the experiments, maybe take one step back if you haven't already done this. And this is for anyone listening who has a lot of intolerances towards food. Take a step back and you know get to that point of why am I intolerant? Like what is causing my body to react negatively to these foods? Because there's always a why. And sometimes traditional, I shouldn't say traditional, because traditional medicine actually does get to the root of it. Sometimes modern medicine, so like going to see your GP, as opposed to going to see someone who deals in functional medicine. That's something else I suggest you all, if people who have a lot of intolerances, they see a functional medicine doctor, because they will always get to the root cause as opposed to just saying, oh, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat that. They'll say, these are why you can't eat this. Maybe we can fix it. Maybe we can actually get to that root cause and sort out that root cause. But that's what up to the functional medicine doctor or naturopath or homeopathic doctor as well. I would definitely suggest that's one thing that you do. So hopefully that was a good answer. All right, the next question we had was, what is the difference between this is from Lynn Martin, by the way, what is the difference between tinned coconut milk and cartoned coconut milk? I know coconut milk came up quite a lot this week. Someone asked the question, like which is the best brand, and then they started talking about tinned versus cartoned. And basically, it's not really the vessel that you need to pay that much attention to. It's the quality of the coconut milk that you need to purchase. I am quite particular in the coconut milk that I purchase. I purchase a brand called Kara, Kara. It is from Indonesia. I find the quality to be one of the best on the market. I've not seen it in the supermarkets here in Australia. I actually buy it from my Asian supermarket, and it comes in cans and it comes in cartons. So the only time I bother between the two, tin or can, is if I want to harden my coconut milk in the fridge so I can extract that top bit of the coconut milk and turn it into, like a whipped style coconut product, then I go for canned. Everyday use, I use the carton. It actually doesn't really matter too much which one you use. It's more important what type of brand you are using as opposed to what it comes in. So that's a pretty good answer to that. I hope you get that one, Lynn. Next one is from Leanne Smith. She asks, my daughter has stomach issues. She doesn't say what the stomach issues are, but she does say, do you have recipes or ideas for snacks that are school friendly, in parentheses, nut free? Not sure, where everyone is coming from today, but here in Australia, and I believe in New Zealand as well, schools do not permit lunches being brought in that contain nuts because of kids that have nut allergies and could potentially go into anaphylactic shock. So nut-free recipes are definitely something that I know that parents out there want. Now, I no longer have school-aged children. I haven't, they've been making their own lunches for many years now, when they were at school. So it hasn't been something that's been front and center in my mind, which is creating healthy school lunches that are nut-free for kids, but I get it. There is actually there was more than, I think, 4 people asked me whether I had any healthy nut-free recipes for school lunches. And I said, well, you know what? There's a few of you out there that want it. And even if you don't have school-age kids, maybe you just want a nut-free snack. So because I had so many people ask me, and it's been coming up every now and again, I've seen this come up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put together some healthy nut-free treat style recipes that can go into the school lunches, that obviously if you're allergic to nuts, you can also take them as well. I'm going to put through some recipes, and not next week on Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, but the week after. We're going to dedicate the entire week to nut-free, healthy, school-friendly treats. Like, we'll make slices, we'll make bars, we'll make cool little bites, we'll do nut-free cupcakes, all that sort of stuff. We'll do muffins, things that you can make that are easy to make, and you can make a bunch of them, and they keep well in the fridge, and then you can send them off in the school lunches. Or if you've got no kids at school and you're like me going, oh, got some treats in the fridge. So that won't be next week. That'll be the week after, because this week, you guys know we're doing our celebration of Indian cuisine, which has been amazing. And I'm surprised I'm not bright orange, because I have drunk so much turmeric chai in the last couple of days. I'm addicted. I always do this, it was like yogi tea. I have that in the morning, and it warms me up and gets me going. And then when I go into more of the wind down, I hit the turmeric chai. So it is delicious, and it's one of the things we've been doing. So this week. We've still got another couple of shares coming up. I'm going to live cooking class on the weekend to continue our celebration of India. But next week, what I thought I would do, which is very exciting, is we're going to be doing a pickling week all week. It's all going to be about healthy pickles, because I love pickles. For me, pickles make so much sense, because I've always got something really delicious in my fridge that I can literally add into a gut healing bowl. I could put it on the side of, if I'm too lazy to cook vegetables, I've always got something pickled in my fridge that I can literally put on the side of protein. So it is like my quick fix, delicious, fermentable, wonderful gut healing prebiotic, probiotic hack. And so all next week, we're going to be doing a pickling week in Bridget's Healthy Kitchen. And then the week after that, we're going to be doing our nut-free, school-friendly snacks for all of us to enjoy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that week. I just, when I thought about it, I was like, actually, I've got some recipes that I can share with you guys. So keep an eye out, because that's going to be the whole week. We're going to be doing school-friendly treats that are not just school-friendly, they're belly-friendly, which is very exciting. So we'll just move on to the next question. Let me have a look here. Okay, that was from Leanne. The next one is from Annie Hannon. Annie asks, is it important to add salt to your bread recipes? Well, salt is there to give that little bit of balance of flavor. So it depends. Like, it's not important. Like, the bread will still work if you don't add salt. But salt has more health benefits than just making things salty, as we know. If you salt your food, and I'm not just talking about bread, but let's just say you salt your food, and your food tastes incredibly salty, you've added too much salt. Salt is there to give those little bit of trace minerals that are involved. I always suggest that you use a mineral salt as opposed to a normal table salt, because mineral salt's got a bit more goodness in there for your body. But sodium is really, really important to have in our body as well. So we need the sodium. It helps to make our food taste better. It helps for our palate to detect the flavors in the food. But the question is it important to add it? If you're thinking, I don't want to add salt to my bread recipes, you don't necessarily have to. Just be aware that your bread may taste a little bit on the bland side. That's the major, I suppose, variant that you have to be aware of when it comes to add salt or not. Like, salt, we do need to have sodium in our diet. It does help to balance the electrolytes in our body, which is really important. For people who don't drink enough water, they also tend to be obviously dehydrated, and sodium, having a pinch of salt in your water, is a really, really good way to get your electrolytes in balance, having that little bit of salt in your water. So yes, I hope that answers it, Annie. Is it important? In the grander scheme of things, no. But is it important for taste? Yes. Yes. I keep on thinking to myself that I could survive many things in my life of saying, no, you can't eat this and you can't eat that, and that makes you bloated and that makes you cramp and blah, 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 blah. But if I ever got told that I had to remove salt from my diet, I don't know what I would do. Like, seriously, I don't even want to consider that possibility, because for me, salt makes food not just palatable, it elevates it to a whole new level of deliciousness. So I'm managing. I eat really, really well, so I can keep having sodium in my diet. If that makes any sense whatsoever. So there you go, Annie. Next question. Will you plan to sell meal kits? Now this is a question I get often. I've gotten often over the last couple of years. Like, will it ever come to a point where you can go online and you can order a week's quantity of Bridget's Healthy Kitchen meals, and it could be, your 28-day plan basically, and it gets delivered to your house? Do we have plans on doing that? Yes, we absolutely do. It is what we understand is that for some people, they really love the creative energy of getting into the kitchen and doing things themselves. For other people, they still want to eat their way slim and healthy, but they are really, really busy, or they're in a situation where they don't even have access to, that much ability to cook, but they still want to lose the weight and get healthy. So there is still people who want that, and we realize that. And so, yes, we do have plans for this to happen. If anyone knows a company, has got connections into a company that currently does that, and because we basically, I'm not going to start to do it myself because I'm too busy to stand there and cook, all these meals. We're going to need to bring on another company to do the cooking for us. I've obviously got all the recipes. So if anyone knows a company that currently does it, they have some, you have the ability for us to talk directly to the owners of that company. I would love to hear from you. Please, please, please send me a private message, or send a private message to Mahai. You can contact us at admin at bridgetshealthykitchen.com. Just put into the title, meal kit information or something along those lines, because we would love to be able to offer that service, because we realize that there are some people, and sometimes, you're doing really, really good, but then you have a really busy, couple of weeks coming up. You don't want to fall off, but you just need something to hold you over for that couple of weeks. So you don't have to do it all the time, but maybe it's just a couple of weeks. So yes, we do. And that's a great question. So thank you for that. Next question we had. All right, there's a list. This is from Michelle. Michelle, she's got a couple of questions here. Let me just open it up. Her first question was tips for people taking a break between 28-day plans so we don't pick up weight or fall off the bandwagon. She asked the question, carbs, or no carbs? All blue book, I'm assuming you mean green book, because I don't have a blue book. Or green book recipes, okay. And she's also alcohol. So really good question from Michelle there on what do you do? So you've done a 28-day plan. You want to go on and do another 28 days. And I've always advocated that you need to have some time off in between, like 3 days minimum, up to about a week before you start another plan. Now, the reason why you have some time off in between doing a 28-day meal plan is because you need to give your body a bit of time and a bit of space. If you just continuously do a 28-day plan, your body will get into what is known as adaptation. And adaptation is literally the enemy of, especially if your goal is weight loss. It'll still be okay for your health, but it is the enemy of weight loss. Because once your body adapts to what you are eating, your weight loss journey will come to a halt. So you'll plateau, and that's what we want to avoid. So that gap off in between doing set meal plans is really, really important. That's why I love this question, because what we need to be very mindful of is, even though we're having some time off, you do not want to go back to your old eating habits. You still need to maintain a healthy cycle of food. So whether you're eating directly out of the yellow book, you continue that, or you eat out of the green book, because even if you're eating out of the yellow or the green book, it's still a low carb eating. So you're doing things that are sugar free, you're doing things that are dairy, very limited in dairy, you're doing things that are also gluten free or wheat free. So even though you're not following a plan, you are still living the lifestyle of what we need to maintain even when you stop doing the plan. This is the maintenance. You basically go into a maintenance cycle for that 3 days, up to about a week. I'd suggest a week. A week is better because you do need time just to be a little bit more gentle with yourself, because the 28-day plan is quite strict, right, on what you can eat and how much you can eat. During your window, you can increase the amount of food portions that you're eating. Don't go overboard and gorge yourself. Increase the amount of food you're eating, but do not go back to processed food, high sugar, high fat, high carb foods. Those foods are not only not recommended during your break, they're not recommended at all, because it's those foods that are going to spike your insulin response. It's those foods that are going to cause you to hold on to fat, but also cause you to gain fat. And you work so hard in the first 28 days. You do not want to ruin it by going back to your old ways, because remember, what we're doing here, this is not a diet that we do for a certain amount of time and then we go back to eating all the the ultra processed, high carb, high sugar, high fat foods. Those foods will never be good for your body. They will, you've always got to consider what you're putting into your mouth and what effect it has on your body at all times. I know it sounds really strict, but that will determine whether your body is at ease or it's full of disease, because we are what we eat. And even if you're on this little break, the last thing you want to do is to then flood your system with toxic products, and high processed, high carb foods are toxic to the body. So during that time, stick to what you know, but have the treats. Make the orange cara cake. Have the chocolate fudge cake. Do all that sort of stuff, but stick with the recipes that are low carb, that are sugar free, low in dairy, and gluten free as well, because you're going to stay on track and you're going to get your body ready for start again on that Monday or whatever it is. You're going to start again in your plan. So hope that answers your question. Oh, you had one more question. Alcohol. I'm surprised there wasn't 2 question marks after it. So when it comes to alcohol, there's a couple of things when it comes to alcohol. I'm not saying you don't drink alcohol. Red wine, a glass or 2 of red wine is actually really, really good for us. It's very high in polyphenols. It's really good for our brain health as well. So, there are certain types of alcohols that you must avoid because they fall in that toxic category. And there are other alcohols that you can enjoy in moderation. And why not during your time off, enjoy yourself a little bit. So red wine is something that we can all, if you like red wine, or if you think it might be something you'd like to get into, 1 or 2 glasses is absolutely fine. And I'm saying 1 glass of red wine a night, some people suggest, there's nothing wrong with that. Drinking a whole bottle, completely different story, because then your body is going into you're basically filling it with so much alcohol that it then needs to go into detox, which you kind of want to avoid during your break. There are other alcohols that from a weight gain or weight loss perspective that are better than others, and they tend to be your clear spirits. So things like vodka, gin, whiskey, these clear distilled spirits, they don't have any calories. So if you wanted to partake in something like that, just make sure that whatever you use as a mixer doesn't have any sugar in it. So stay away from the Cokes, stay away from the diet sodas as well, because diet sodas have artificial sweeteners, and artificial sweeteners will still trigger an insulin response from your body. An artificial sweetener, your body doesn't know the difference between sugar and artificial sweetener. Sure, there's no calories in it, but your body will still respond by flooding your body with insulin, which means you won't be in fat burning mode. So yes, on alcohol, moderation is key. Consider the type of alcohols that you are consuming. Red wine being probably the best one because it's good for your overall health. But if you are a consumer of spirits, straight vodka, as in do not go anywhere near those RTDs, those ready to drink bottles. Stay away. It's that stuff's really, really bad. You want to avoid sugary sweet alcohols like your Baileys and your Kahluas and stuff like that. They tend to be things, or liqueurs, you want to avoid them because they will spike an insulin response. They will send your body into a bit of a meltdown because you haven't had sugar for a long time and suddenly you're putting all this sugar into it. So you want to avoid those ones as well. Beer is quite high in carbs, so if you want to go for a low carb beer, but really when it comes down to alcohol, it's moderation. Moderation is the key when it comes to alcohol, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to say don't do it, but at the same time, I don't want to say do it. So there you go. Hope that answers your question. All right, so let's have another one there. Robin Sen said she's loving Indian week. She did the veggie korma, which was the creamy coconut veggie korma. Literally one of my favorites, still to this day, is one of my favorite curries. The flavor of it is amazing. And she also watched the video on the onion bhaji. Thank you, Robin. She was just wondering if she can substitute any other flour for chickpea flour. So I did an onion bhaji live cooking class earlier on this week, and then I released the recipe on Bridget's Healthy Kitchen. And I gave you two options for onion bhaji when it came to a more traditional style onion bhaji, which was made with chickpea flour, or which is also known as besan or gram flour. And I did a not so traditional, more modern, healthy twist to an onion bhaji, which had cauliflower in it. So Robin's question was, can you use another type of flour instead of chickpea flour? Yes, you can. Can I tell you what those flours are? No, I can't. Because I haven't tried. I did try one actually. I did try one type of flour, and I was really unimpressed with the flavor. It was terrible, and that was sunflower seed flour. I suggest you do not use that flour. So I'm not sure, Robin. Yes, you can use another type of flour. Probably not almond because it won't hold together. Almond flour wouldn't work, but you could definitely try, I don't know, maybe quinoa flour or green banana flour or anything like that. Give that a bit of a go. But let us know how you get on. It'll be really interesting. Once again, it's about experimentation. I haven't tried, the only flour, like I said, I tried was the sunflower seed flour, and I was like, don't want to do that again. It was not very nice. So chickpea is definitely traditional. Chickpea is, there's a few carbs involved in the old chickpeas, but there's so little in the onion bhaji. It's only 50 grams. So unless you're allergic or you have an intolerance to chickpea, I'll give it a go because it's kind of delicious and it's kind of nice, to be completely honest. But let us know how you get on for sure. All right, next question we had. Thank you, Robin, for that wonderful question. And thank you for enjoying Indian Week. I love Indian Week. Like I said, I should be yellow with all the turmeric I've consumed over the last couple of days. It's so wonderful. This is from Marianne. Would it be possible to have one of the recipes early so we could all have the ingredients and cook along with you on the day? So I would like to put the call out. If anyone else would like to do that, what Marianne has asked, which is, let's say it's, our healthy, nut-free, school-friendly lunch week. And I'm going to do, I've got my list of recipes here. Look, already there. I was so excited. Let's say we do the raspberry coconut muffins. Those sound good, right? Remember, nut-free raspberry coconut muffins. I would then give you the ingredients list, no method, just the ingredients. And then during our live cooking class that we normally have here in my kitchen, is where you would have the opportunity to be able to cook along with me. So if that's something that you guys would like to do, I'm going to throw it out to you guys. And please, please, please let me know. If this is something that you'd like to do, is we'll do a cook along, then we can totally organize that. And that is such a wonderful idea, Marianne. I'm glad you brought it up. It's something that we played around with before, and then we just got so busy that we completely forgot about it. So if that's something that you guys would like to do, I'm keen, man. I'd love to have you guys cooking along, and, you can be asking questions about how things are going as we're, absolutely. Please, 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 please. Is it, if it's what you want to do, then yeah, let me know in the comments, and then if it's a resounding thumbs up, then we'll definitely look at doing something like that. So great question, thank you. All right, the next question is from Alicia. This is a very fascinating question. What is the difference between wheat and gluten? Now, I just love this because Alicia says when something says gluten-free, does that automatically mean wheat-free too? So many times I've seen the labels gluten-free and wheat-free, and it confuses me. So yeah, no, that is such a great question. And if we step back and we understand, firstly, that what gluten is and what wheat is. So gluten is a protein found in wheat. Does that make sense? So wheat, as you know, is the plant, and from wheat we get flour. It gets milled into flour, and gluten is found. It's a protein found in wheat. So is it always going to be that something that has wheat is also has gluten? Yes, because wheat has gluten in it. But gluten is also not just found in wheat; it's actually found in other things as well. So wheat free means there's none of that plant that makes it into flour. Gluten free could mean there's no wheat in there, but it also can mean, because you get gluten in rye and you also get gluten in barley. You can get gluten in oats as well. So porridge also has trace elements of gluten. And depending on your sensitivity towards gluten, for example, celiacs can't have oats, whereas I can have oats quite happily. My body doesn't respond negatively, yet I can't have wheat. So I have an intolerance towards the amount of gluten that's found in wheat, but I can have oats. So to answer your question, gluten is a protein, and gluten is found in wheat. Can the two work together? Wheat will have gluten. So when they say something is wheat free, there may be gluten found in something else that's in that product. So just check your labels, and remember gluten is also in other foods as well, like rye, like barley, and like oats. You will find trace elements of gluten. And there's even some fiber syrups, they're called IMOs, on the market. Ours is not that one, by the way, that also contain gluten. So hence why some celiacs can't have like other people's fiber syrup, but you can have our fiber syrup because it's zero gluten, because our fiber syrup is just basically inulin syrup. That's all it is, 100% inulin. So very good question. And now that I'm talking about fiber syrup, and I know it's been, people have been like, where is it? Well, let me tell you that we have, I cannot believe the amount of fiber syrup that's been packed in the factory and then sent off to the distribution center. We have done so much, and we cannot keep up with demand. So we're having supplier can't keep up with us. I keep on ringing them and going, I need some more, I need some more, I need some more. And they send me all they have. But because of the COVID and transportation and things coming in, because our fiber syrup actually comes from Europe, so we have to wait for it to arrive. And so that's the only issue we've been having, is we want to get it to you guys, but we have not even launched it publicly. The only people that know about fiber syrup is if you watch one of my videos, or if you are on our private group. We have not launched it publicly at all because we can't keep up with the demands of even our private group. So fiber syrup, we are waiting on another delivery, even though we've only just had one happen earlier on this week, and that's sold out already. So we're waiting on another delivery so we can get some more fiber syrup to you guys as quickly as we can. So yes. I appreciate your patience. Thank you. Okay, next question. This is from Christine Parker. Christine asks, I was going to ask that so many lemons are around and she loves lemon and lime recipes. Do I have any lemon and lime recipes? Great question. Yes, currently here it is winter, and winter means lemon. So what sort of lemon and lime recipes do I have? Well, in the yellow book, I have a recipe for preserved lemons, because if you've got a lot of lemons, why not preserve them? Because then you can use them in stews and curries and tagines and all sorts of wonderful, wonderful dishes throughout the year. And you can literally make your own preserve. So I've got that. I've got a list here. I also have, in my Healthy Treats ebook, I have an egg-free lemon curd, which once again, you can make in bulk and then you can store it in the fridge. I've got that in the Christmas ebook, and all these are available. Let me just find the link for you guys. Where is the link? Where's the link? There it is. All of these are available in our store. So I'm just going to pop up that link now if I can. So in the Christmas ebook, I have lemon meringue tarts, which are amazing. I'm just popping up the link for that right now. Oh, enter. I think that went up. Yes, it did. Fantastic. So that is the ebook for Healthy Treats, lemon meringue tart. And recently on Facebook, I shared with you guys my baked French lemon tart. I'm going to share that recipe with you now. If you haven't already downloaded it, it is fabulous, and I don't have it. Oh, sorry, guys. Somewhere on Facebook. Oh, no, I closed off the tab. Oops, sorry. Somewhere on Facebook, Bridget's Healthy Kitchen. Look, if you want to look for a recipe, and it's called my baked French lemon tart. It is amazing. It is so delicious. It is like everything you would imagine a tarte au citron to be. It is wonderful. That lemon tart is currently on Facebook. It is in no ebooks because it's a brand new recipe. Well, it's a couple, I think I released it in May. So it's a couple months old now. So if you want to request a copy of that recipe, either Mahei is going to do a wonderful, wonderful job now. And I don't know if he's even listening. He may have tuned out to my voice. Not that he normally does that. He might pop up that link for you guys. So if you want to know how to find recipes, and I suggest you look for this one, go onto Bridget's Healthy Kitchen on the page, and at the top of the page you'll see a little search bar with a magnifying glass. Put into that search bar Bridget's Healthy Kitchen French tart, and then it'll come up, and then you can click on it, and then you can request it, and it is wonderful. It is so good. It's so delicious. So I've got that one as well. And next week, because it's pickle week, I'm also going to teach you guys how to pickle lemons. Not preserve them, pickled lemons. These are one of my favorite things to do, is to eat pickled lemons. They taste so good, and you can put them through salads. You can put them, with meats, like if you've got maybe some chicken or some lamb or some beef or whatever. They just literally go with everything. They are delicious, and they are prebiotics, so they're really good for your gut. So I'm going to be sharing that recipe with you guys next week for my pickled lemons, which is very, very exciting. So thank you. Great question. Thank you. And yes, by the time we get to the end of this, I'm also going to announce who wins the very first, which is this one here, the very first bag of our zero as sugar pure erythritol is going to go out to the person who had the greatest question of the day. So the next question we have here, that one was about lemons and lemon recipes, which is great. This is a fascinating question as well. It comes from Trace, and she asked, the best advice you could give a lady fighting menopause and constant weight gain, who is just starting out on the 28-day plan and just bought the yellow book. What would be my top 3 tips? So Trace wasn't the only one who asked about how to navigate this time in a woman's life, menopause. I think someone else referred to it as the change of life. How do you navigate it? Because you're dealing with a lot, right? So this really goes back to my first sort of question that came through today, which was about about having all these different types of food allergies or intolerances towards foods. I'm going to go back to that because it was a very important part of that conversation we had right at the beginning of this that talked about, if you have a lot of food intolerances or your body is disagreeing with the food that you're putting into it, we need to take a step back and understand why. Why is your body rebelling? And the same can be said when it comes to menopause as well. We need to take a step back and to understand why. Because the wording that Trace used in that question was, she said that she's fighting against menopause, which basically means she's fighting against her body, her own body. She's fighting it. And I don't know the ins and outs of why you're at that place where you feel like you're in a fight, Trace, but we really need to take a step back. It's really important you take a step back and to understand why your body is responding to this period of time the way that it is. Because if you think about this, some women go through menopause or go through, the change of life, and they virtually have no symptoms. It just happens, right? And where there is some women, they notice hot flushes, they go through different bits and pieces, like why is their body responding that way? And then there's another sector, and they do feel like they're in this struggle, this war. They're beating each other up. They're beating themselves up because the struggle is with their own body. Why is that happening? And I would suggest to Trace and to anyone else who feels that they're in a war, or they feel that their symptoms are not nice because they're not nice. They feel that their symptoms could be better be put under more control. Like you feel like, things are not great. Once we step back and we look at why, we can start to ask these questions like what's happening, because it's not that your body is fighting you, it's that there is a gap of knowledge between where you're at and what's happening to your body, and you need to fill the gap. You need to know why this is happening to your body, because when we understand why something's happening to our body, we can begin to address it rather than just saying, oh, this is just what happens, it's part of life, I'm just going to have to deal with it. No. There are things that you can do, because we're coming down to, when it comes to menopause, we're talking about hormones. We're talking about our body being flooded with all these hormones. And is there a way that we can address these hormonal imbalances by using, obviously diet is one of them, but there are other strategies that can be used. But of course, I'm talking about diet. So my first tip to trace into anyone else who's dealing with this is take a step back and ask the question, how much are you fighting? Like, are you fighting a little bit, or are you just head to head with this area of your life every single day? And it's actually quite debilitating. I would suggest, first and foremost, that you see a functional medicine doctor. So not your normal GP, and even potentially not your gynecologist, but you see a functional medicine doctor, because a functional medicine doctor will want to get to the root cause of why you are in this struggle and you're in this fight, because you don't have to be, and they want to get you out of that fight. But unless you go to the cause and you understand the reason why, you can't begin to address the symptoms. Our normal medical doctors, what they will do is they will, give you hormone replacement therapy or something along those lines, but they don't actually ever get to the root cause of why. A functional medicine doctor will always want to get to the why. So that will be my first suggestion. If you're really struggling and you're really fighting, I would suggest you go online, or you ask the question to your community, to people that you trust, if anyone can recommend a functional medicine doctor. Now, these are trained doctors. They're not whack jobs. They're trained doctors who now specialize in the function of medicine, which is to make you better, but to understand why you got sick in the first place, or why you have illness in your body in the first place. So for me, they're more of a holistic approach, and one that I would highly recommend, as opposed to going to your GP, because chances are your GP will give you a pill, but they'll never ever say, but this is why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. So functional medicine doctor is number one. My number two tip, and this is something that once again anyone can access, and I suggest you do if you are going through menopause, or you are struggling, or if you just you think it's worthwhile. Remember I talked about filling in that gap of knowledge. Like, you're here, your symptoms are here, there is a gap that you need to fill in so that you understand your body more. And one of the ways that you can do that is I've given this book out to a few of my girlfriends, and it's called The Hormone Fix. I'm going to throw the link up now for you guys. I suggest you look into this book, and the author as well. Her name is Dr. Anna Kabika, and this particular book is pretty incredible in understanding our bodies better. And that's what it all comes down to, isn't it? It's about being able to understand our bodies better. So I'm just trying to find out where I can add the link. There it is. I'm adding the link now. It's called The Hormone Fix. The Hormone Fix. It is one of those books that is going to help you to understand your body better and fill in that gap of knowledge, because that's what's lacking here. It's not that, it's not that there's something wrong with you. It's not that, because it's completely natural. As a woman, we're all going to go through this at some point of our life in some way, shape, or form. But that gap of knowledge is what's going to be the difference on you, being able to take control of it as opposed to it controlling you. So The Hormone Fix, Dr. Anna Kabika, just amazing book. Like I said, I've given it to a couple of my girlfriends who have really suffered from obviously what's been going on with them, and it is definitely worth a read. So I hope that answers some of your questions there. Okay, the next question I had Where are we? Where are we? That was from Trace. Yes, the next question was, someone just asked again about lemons and limes. So I've just given you the ideas for lemons and limes. I do have a couple of lemon tarts, lemon meringue, baked lemon tart. I've got all those recipes. If you have missed that, just rewind this little broadcast a little bit and you'll find out where all the recipes are. The next one, what is the simplest change? This is from Sarah Woods, by the way. What is the simplest change for someone starting their health journey that has the biggest impact? Really great question. Thank you, Sarah. What is the biggest change? So this is one thing that you can do that is going to have the biggest impact on your health journey. So it's really hard to quantify down health into one change. But if I had to, and I don't like doing it because there is many things that we need to change permanently in order to stay healthy, to get healthy and to stay healthy. But if I had to qualify it down to one thing and one thing only, I would say the number one thing that you can do for your health, the number one thing is to stop eating sugar. And you may be saying to me, that's very simplistic. It is that simple. Because and I'm not just saying stop eating sugar that you add to things. Like if you've started, if you have sugar in your coffee in the morning or in your tea, like stop that. That's obvious. So don't add sugar to anything. Don't put sugar in your cereal. Don't add it into your teas or your coffees. Use things like pure erythritol instead of refined table sugar. Don't use honey or maple syrup because it'll have the same effect as sugar has on your body, and use fiber syrup instead. I'm going to say all those things. But it's not just about what you make, it's actually about having more knowledge about the sugar, the hidden sugars that are in so many processed foods. Like, I think there is something ridiculous, like 80% of foods that you find in the supermarket, they're in a packet or a jar or a tin or a bottle, have some type of sugar, usually hidden in the ingredient list. So saying stop eating sugar is easier. It's not easy, it's easier if you are doing all the cooking yourself. But if you rely on processed foods to be part of your daily intake of energy, because that's what food is energy, as well as delicious, but it's energy. If you rely on processed foods on a daily basis, it's going to be a lot more challenging for you to get sugar out of your diet. Is it important? It is my number one tip. If I was to break it down to one thing, it is my number one tip for all of us, is to stop relying on sugar to give us satisfaction. Stop relying on sugar to be part of our daily diet. It has zero nutritional value, and all it's going to do, not all, what it's going to do is it's going to spike a hormonal response in your body that if you have enough sugar, you will eventually become diabetic. And if you continue to have sugar, obviously that comes with a lot of weight gain. It comes with cardiovascular disease. It comes with, fat around your organs and lots of visceral fat. It comes with so many health issues by having that one ingredient in your diet. So that would be the number one thing. If you just are like, I just want to change something right now, I would say stop having sugar in your diet. But that does require some work because there is no magic pill here. You actually have to do some work. And yes, that means not sweetening up your tea or your coffee. Yes, that means not sprinkling sugar over whatever it is. But it also means you being very, very active in understanding what is in the processed foods that you may be purchasing. So definitely look into that. Most definitely. Oh, I've just realized my battery's about to die. Give me 1 second. We don't want to lose the battery. 1 second. Is that better? Oh, there we go. Whoa. Yay, I'm back. I just noticed it was oh, no, I'm not back yet. 1 second. Where is it? Oh, yep. Yay. There we go. Lucky I brought my cord to the factory today. That would have been just like, whoop, and we're done. So no, that's not going to happen. So yeah, great question about what's that one thing, and that is the one thing that I would definitely suggest that we can get into. All right. So next question. What are my thoughts on quinoa? So quinoa spelled Quinoa, but pronounced keen, as in I'm very keen to do something. Quinoa. Quinoa is, firstly, it is not a grain. It is not a, so it's not wheat, it's not rice, it's not from any of those families. Quinoa is actually a pseudo cereal, and it is the seed of a plant. And quinoa is it became pretty cool. It was like pre-kale. Like before everyone went, oh, kale is the thing. And then everyone's like, ugh, kale tastes terrible. It's one of those cool things that sort of the health industry really jumped on and took a lot of notice about. It made a few waves in the health industry as well. So quinoa is high in protein. It has got some good fiber, and it is also, a nice substitute. People use it instead of rice for a start because it's not a grain, and it won't spike your insulin response as much as white rice does, or even brown rice does. So yes, quinoa is my thoughts on quinoa is it's okay. I'm not that keen on it. I find it a bit boring, to be honest with you. I would prefer to make like a broccoli rice or a cauliflower rice, because for me, getting more vegetables in my diet is probably better for me than getting more quinoa. Quinoa is kind of a filler. It's not a bad thing, put it that way. It just doesn't excite me as much as a broccoli rice or a cauliflower rice would excite me if I was wanting to swap out something for rice. It has got pretty much no flavor. You cook it very similar to how you would boil brown rice or boil potatoes. It's the same thing. You get a big pot of water, you add your quinoa, you make sure it's in lots and lots of water, and you basically boil it for about 18 to 20 minutes until it softens. So it's not like white rice that works on the absorption method. So, you put in enough rice and water and the water absorbs into the rice. It's more like boiling potatoes or boiling brown rice, cooking brown rice, that you're going to boil it for about 20 minutes. And then it becomes quite tender. You drain it really, really well. So you don't want it to be waterlogged, and then you add flavors to it. You can add herbs to it. You can mix in different other types of vegetables. You can put spices through it, all that sort of stuff. So in general, it's not a bad thing. Does it excite me? Not really. And one of the things I have to say of why I did stop cooking a lot of quinoa is the kids aren't keen on it. Only time they're keen on it is when I make a quinoa porridge, and they're like, "Oh, that's good," or quinoa pudding. They love that as well. So it's got a bit of sweet elements to it, which they really, really like. So quinoa's good. Remember, it's not gonna raise your blood glucose or your insulin levels. It's not a grain, so it's quite low carb, and it is high in protein, and it's got some good dietary fiber in it as well. So overall, it's good. It's just a bit boring. That's probably all I gotta say about that one. All right, so a few more questions to go. I'll try and get through these as many as I can before we have to shift off, before our courier turns up. This is from Debbie. She asked about kid-friendly recipes. We've got that covered, Debbie. We're going to do our nut-free, school lunch-friendly treats, not next week, but the following week on Bridget's Healthy Kitchen. Someone asked about, where are we? Oh, it's another one about lunch that was asked. It was from Christine. We've covered that one as well. Someone asked, how you get liquid stevia or stevia drops? This is from Sandra. Do you think a drop of water mixed with your erythritol would suffice? Thank you. So Sandra, I'm not sure what your question is, only because what you're asking is, can you use the erythritol to sweeten something instead of using stevia drops? You don't have to mix it with water. You can just add it to whatever. I'm assuming, like if you want to add it into your coffee, 100%, you just put a teaspoon of erythritol into it. So I think that answers your question. I'm not entirely sure if that answers it. I hope it does. But erythritol, like I'm not a fan of stevia at all. Let me just be completely honest with you. I cannot stand the taste. Like it's just, I find it artificial. It also is not a great thing to put into our body, because our body can't differentiate between whether it's having stevia or whether it's having sugar. So I never suggest you use stevia. But for me, the biggest thing is it will get an insulin response from your body, because your body can't tell whether you're having sugar or not. But it tastes, it tastes so artificial to me that even though I know it's natural, I just don't like it. So I would never say use stevia. But if you want to just sweeten something that's a lot better for your body, still has all that 0 calories, 0 glycemic index response, 0 laxative effect as well, then erythritol, and our erythritol, our pure erythritol, is definitely a great option for you there. So great question. Wrong one. I've got 2 lines of questions here. Okay. Good question from Helen Robinson. What is the difference between probiotic and prebiotic? Because I talk a lot about these things. So probiotics is basically, very simply, the healthy bacteria that currently live in your gut. Those are your probiotics. So you know how this is called your microbiome? Well, in your microbiome, which is your gut, lives your bacteria, your healthy bacteria, which is your probiotics. So probiotics, they need something to feed on. They need something to keep them healthy, to keep them multiplying, so your microbiome remains healthy. And what probiotics feed on are prebiotics. So we want to make sure that we're feeding our probiotics with prebiotics. And prebiotics can be found in lots of different types of foods. But for some people who have, they don't want to go through all this massive list of foods of how you can get probiotics into your diet, we have the solution, and that is we have the solution, which is inulin, which is a prebiotic. It feeds your healthy bacteria, gut bacteria, and fiber syrup as well, which is a prebiotic, which feeds your healthy bacteria. But there are other ways that you can get prebiotics into your diet. I would suggest, without going through, there's quite a decent amount of different types of prebiotics that you can eat to feed your probiotics, which live in your gut. But definitely do a bit of a Google search on that, because it's quite a fascinating area when it comes to prebiotics. And they tend to be fibrous, dietary fibers, because that is what our probiotics love to eat. They love to eat all that wonderful, wonderful, wonderful fiber we have in our diet. And the other thing is that I often get asked is whether I suggest taking a probiotic supplement. And it depends where you are at in your health journey. Like for some people, they get all their probiotics, and all their probiotics get fed by their wonderful diet they're currently on. For other people, if your health needs to have a bit of a boost, you might want to look at taking a probiotic supplement, because there are a lot of really good, and you want to get a broad spectrum probiotic supplement. So one that has lots and lots of beneficial bacteria in there. So, do your homework on where you can get one, and then there's nothing stopping you from just giving your gut a bit of a boost, and then back it up with your prebiotics, which is all the healthy dietary fibers that you can feed. So your probiotics are wonderful and multiplying and having a good old time down there in your gut. So great question. All right. Another question we had was, what can you use instead of oats in a recipe which is gluten-free and low in carbs? This is from Suzanne, by the way. I'm a type 1 diabetic and need to stay away as much as possible from high carb foods. So if you have a recipe, or you see one of my recipes that have oats in it, what is the healthy alternative? The gluten-free, low carb healthy alternative, would you believe, is quinoa. So quinoa comes, and you can get quinoa in flakes, and it actually looks like oats. And if you're wanting to do a one-on-one swap out that is low carb, gluten-free, high protein, and also high in fiber, then you want to go for quinoa flakes. That is a great alternative for type 1 or even type 2 diabetics, and also for celiacs as well. It's to swap out oats with the low carb quinoa flakes. If you want to know where to purchase those, I have seen them at some good supermarkets, but definitely health food stores do stock the quinoa flakes as well. So great question there. We're nearly to the end, guys. Thank you for being so patient. Then we're going to announce our winner. We've got a question from Sonia. Can I use lean kafta mince and substitute for chicken? Sorry, I'll start that again. Can I use lean kafta mince and substitute for turkey, chicken, or beef mince? Now, Sonia, I have to admit that I did not know what kafta mince was. I'm assuming that you were speaking of lean lamb, or is that kofta mince? So I'm not entirely sure whether kafta mince is actually a name for lamb mince? If someone could let me know, that would be wonderful. And if it is, yes, you can. You can swap out any of the different types of ground meat for one that you can use. Just as provided it's lean, provided, you know, if you get it grass-fed, even better, because it's just so much better for our bodies. It doesn't have all the pesticides and stuff. But if you can get a lean mince to swap out for one, that turkey, chicken, or beef, 100%, you can happily do that with any of the recipes quite well. All right. Okay, where we go? When doing the 28-day challenge, what is the best thing to do the day after you may have slipped up a little? They asked a question. This is from Wendy. Do you drink more water or you just get back on track? Great question from Wendy. So if you've slipped up, you've been on the 28-day program and you slipped up a little bit, and maybe you had a wild weekend or maybe you just had a wild day, and to say to drink more water is you should be drinking at least 2.5 to 3 liters, which is about 3/4 of a gallon of water a day. That's what you should be doing a day. Anyway, I'm not going to suggest to drink any more water than that, because that's already a decent amount of water to keep your body hydrated. So drinking water is not, and you just do that anyway. Yeah, you get on and you make sure you're drinking your water. I've got my water down here. In fact, I went out. I'm at the. I don't know why, but over the last, and this, maybe I do know why. My taste buds evolve depending on the season, depending on how I'm feeling. There's so many reasons why my taste buds continue to evolve. And I have become, I don't currently like drinking filtered water. It's boring. So I went out and bought myself a soda stream. And I love carbonated water right now. So I drink, instead of drinking still water, and by the way, this is room temperature. I never drink cold water. I always drink room temperature water because it's better for your body when you're drinking. I know for some people that sounds really weird, but I drink room temperature carbonated water. And I do that via a soda stream, which is fantastic. So 2.5 to 3 liters a day of water. But if you do slip up, and it happens to all of us, it happens to all of us. The first thing you need to do, and you're going to hear me use this terminology a lot, you need to lean in to why you slipped up. Because until we know why we did a certain thing that we didn't want to do, until we know why, what was the cause of that thing, we're going to continue to repeat the same behavior. So if you slipped up, and first thing you do is you do not beat yourself up. Yeah, do not beat yourself up, because it happens to all of us. But the difference on whether you're going to potentially slip up again and again and again is you've got to go back to the why you had that slip up. What was that cause to get you that effect? Because that's what it comes down to, the cause and effects. For some of us, and I know when I slip up, it tends to be that I haven't had enough sleep and I'm a little bit stressed out, or a lot stressed out. The combination of not having enough sleep, being tired, and being stressed, and usually I'm stressed because I'm tired, it all kind of intertwines so not wonderfully in our lives. Is when you're tired, you tend to be a bit stressed out as well. That's when I tend to have my slip-up days. And there's nothing wrong with having a slip-up day, because I understand why. I go, that's because, I stayed up too late. I binge watched, something on Netflix or something stupid, or there has been some traumatic things happening within the family, which there's been a lot of traumatic stuff happening within our family here, within our family overseas as well. Like, it's life, right? Stuff's always going to happen. Stress is always going to happen. We can't get away from it. And if we did, we're not living. Who lives a stress-free life? That doesn't exist. The only person who's not having a stress-free life is the person who's no longer here. That stress is a part of everyday life. It's how we respond to it that is going to determine what happens next, cause and effect. So the first thing I would say is, if you've had a slip up, step back, take that step back, but then lean into it. Step back, have a look at the bigger picture, and then lean into it. So once you leant into something, you are taking responsibility for that something, and you are understanding what caused you to slip up. Because without that understanding, there is that very strong possibility that you will continue to repeat the same behavior. So step back, lean into it, and then really do some self-evaluation about what it was that caused you to slip up. What happened? What was the trigger? It may have been a really major trigger. It may have been a small trigger. It may have been that, you know, you went out and you had too many drinks with friends, or maybe you had to go to a family gathering or a party, whatever it is. But once you have identified what caused you to get into that position in the first place, then you can start to address it by leaning into it, by accepting it, by taking responsibility for it. And so the next time you're in that situation, you have a base to work from. You're like, I've been here before and I didn't like the end result, because if you've slipped up, chances are you don't feel that great after you've slipped up, because slipping up can mean that you feel kind of unwell and you feel kind of, you know, you feel a bit nasty the next day. So taking that step back and then leaning right into the root cause of why you slipped up, firstly can help you further on down the track. It's all this whole thing about being confident and comfortable enough to self-evaluate. You know, when we fail to self-evaluate, our illnesses and our disease take over, because your body always tells you when something's not right. It tells you through inflammation, it tells you through headaches, it tells you through tiredness, it tells you through mood swings. Your body will always tell you when you have done something that it does not like. It will always tell you, but it's our ability, you know, to be able to listen and to be able to recognize that there is something that our body's trying to tell us. And once we recognize it, we can take action to not do that again. And sometimes it takes practice. Like, I'm not saying you're going to be a wizard at the next time. You know, you're gonna have this thing come up and you're going to go, "Ooh, been here before, not doing that again." It may take a couple of, you know, tries, but the more you lean into it, the more you take responsibility, the more you realize there is a cause and an effect, that you can begin to work on that cause and change that behavior. And once you've changed that behavior, this becomes a positive habit that is reinforced every single time you do it. So that's the first thing, is lean into why you slipped up. Lean into how you slipped up. And then the best thing that you can do is, yes, of course, drink water, but you should be doing that anyway. Especially if it was an alcoholic moment, because you'll be so dehydrated, you're going to need to increase your water. Make sure you sprinkle a little bit of salt in there to get your electrolytes balanced. But the best thing that you can do is literally get right back on track, because what you have is you have the knowledge at your fingertips to be able to know what your body needs, know what your body likes. So you don't have to go back to square one, because one little slip up does not mean the end of it and you've got to start at the beginning again. It just means you had a little slip up. You've taken control of the cause and the effect. So now it's up to you to just jump back straight on. Don't beat yourself up. Beating yourself up will cause stress. Stress will cause cortisol to rise. And cortisol, high levels of cortisol, means that your body goes into fat holding mode and not fat using mode. So just get onto it. Just get it. Like, seriously, go, you know what? I know what the reason is. That's the cause. The effect was, I feel terrible. Cause and effect. You've recognized it. Now just get back on. That's enough. You do not beat yourself up. This is enough self-reflection that you need to do and go, that's where I went wrong. All right, let's get back onto it. So I hope that answers your question. In fact, that was the best question of the day. So that winner of our best question of the day is going to Wendy Tumeth. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Wendy. Wendy Tumeth. She is based here in New South Wales, Australia. Wendy, we will be sending you out the very first. I might even sign it so you know it's the first one that you get. You get the very first packet of our 100% pure erythritol, zero as sugar, is going out to you, Wendy. Thank you for that. We've just got a couple more questions that I'll quickly cover off before we're due to have our courier turn up any minute now. So I have a question here from Suzanne. Can we use your erythritol as a straight swap for xylitol or other sugar sweeteners in recipes? 100%. Suzanne, you can use erythritol as a swap out, and I suggest you do. The reason why I suggest that you do use this as a straight swap out is because xylitol is a sugar substitute or sweetener, but xylitol there's some stuff in xylitol that are not quite as clean, and your body will still respond with an insulin response. So erythritol will not give you that insulin response, which is really important, and the reason why we stock erythritol as opposed to the other sweeteners. Erythritol has no flavor. It's like, it's just got a sweet, clean flavor. It's got no nasty aftertaste like the one we were talking about before, the stevia and all that sort of stuff. So I would suggest that. And xylitol, the other thing about xylitol is it is highly toxic to dogs. So if you have canines in your home who like to get a little treat from you every now and then, xylitol could potentially, it's highly toxic. It will poison that animal, and they don't need much. They just need a taste of it, and it's very, very poisonous to dogs. So that's the other reason why I don't use xylitol, because I know that a lot of us have fur babies, and we got fur meows, not dogs, not woof woofs. We've got fur cats. But yes, very highly toxic towards dogs. So another question we have there, we've done that. We've talked about menopause a little bit. And the last one comes from Carol. This is our last one of the day. What a wonderful session we've had, by the way. Our last question of the day comes from Carol Ferris. She says, I've been led to believe that you shouldn't drink at least half an hour before or after meals, as doing this dilutes your stomach acid. This is such a great question. Yes, that is true, Carol. So the research is out now. It's been out for a while, but there is been some studies done to show that when you eat food, especially if you're eating something that requires quite a lot of activity, and I'm talking about especially like red meat and stuff, because that does take a lot for your body to break down. It's very, very heavy. There's big fibers that your stomach needs to get through. And what you want to do is you want to give your stomach or your digestive system the biggest opportunity to digest the food that you've just consumed. And that means that you want your stomach acids, your natural stomach acid, to be really concentrated, especially if you're having heavy, high, thick strands, thick fibers like red meat and stuff like that. So the suggestion is that drinking before or during, it's usually during a meal, like even if it's just water, will dilute that stomach acid concentration, making it harder for your body to digest the food. So when it's hard for your body to digest food, you may find that you get sore stomachs, you might get cramping, you might even get bloating as your body's got to go to work and with that food, but also it won't be fully digested, so you'll get like larger particles of food going down then into your intestines and colon, which is not great. So you're not actually, your body, when it digests the food, is also extracting the goodness from it. So if you drink water, especially during a meal, you'll dilute those stomach acids, and your body will struggle more to get through the food that you've just consumed. Not so bad if you're having, food that is easily digestible. So there are definitely foods that are easily digestible, but things that are hard to digest, and red meat is probably the best example of that. You definitely don't want to be having any type of liquids with your meal. Half an hour before is not too bad, because that water will go through your system within that half an hour. So it's not so much the before, it's more about the during. Definitely not directly before, and even afterwards, just kind of, just wait a little bit, give your stomach time to digest is the ideal scenario. But in saying that, it's not the be all and end all. There's other things that I think that we should focus on when it comes to our health, because of course water is the giver of all life. So I don't want to ever suggest that you stop drinking your fluids, but you just might want to think about the timing of when you're drinking it, and don't drink it during a meal. Just keep those stomach acids as concentrated as possible. They'll get through what you've just put into them. It can go through your digestion phase. It can extract all the goodness out of it and make sure it goes into the right parts of your body. And so whatever you've eaten has now just been, you're benefiting from it as much as you can, and getting through the digestion process at the same time. So thank you. Very great question. Congratulations to Wendy, of course, who won the Zero Sugar. Yay! I've got a bit of signing to do. Yeah, just a casual couple of days in the factory signing books. It's all worth it though, because if you have gone out of your way to support us by getting your copy, pre-ordering your copy of Eat Your Way Slim and Healthy from Booktopia, you are going to get a signed copy. I'm going to be signing your copy in the next couple of days. So thank you so much for supporting us. So wonderful class today. Thank you for your amazing questions. I hope that has been illuminating and exciting. Just a point in fact, we will be doing our Wednesday night live this coming Wednesday. That's going to be on a fortnightly rotation. If you thought you missed out last week, you didn't miss out. We actually didn't have one. So you didn't miss out on anything because there wasn't one planned. We're going to be doing our Wednesday night lives every fortnight. The next one is the Wednesday coming in a couple of next week. We're doing our Wednesday night live. That'll be going 6:30 from Sydney time. We are going to be increasing the amount of people that we can put into our chat room. So I know last time we could only do 20, which was just so stupid. And I was not impressed with Facebook. So this week we're going to be, or next week, when we do our next one, we're going to be making sure that a lot more of you can join onto the chat room and introduce yourself, say hi to the community. It's such a wonderful evening. There's always some really great things that come out of it. Of course, next week is Pickle Week, all in Bridget's Healthy Kitchen. But don't forget, we've still got some recipes coming up to celebrate Indian, the beautiful, wonderful, vibrant, exciting, delicious Indian cuisine as well. So thank you for joining me. If you've stayed with me from the start to the end, thank you. It was a long one, but you had some great questions and they all deserved to get answered. Apologies if I missed a few people. I did try my best, but I can literally hear the courier pulling up in the driveway outside of the factory now, so I better get going. All right, guys, I am going to love you and I'm going to leave you, but I will be back and I'll see you tomorrow in Bridget's Healthy Kitchen for a wonderful cooking class. You're going to enjoy this one. It's a goodie. All right, guys, take care. Enjoy your day. Be safe, be well, be happy. Do whatever you need to do, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.